Hey everybody, welcome to the Couch of Therapy show. I am your host, Hanifar Jordan, and today I have my longtime friend here, Coach Thomas, in the building. Yeah, so we're going to dig into a couple of things, but first we want to talk about, which I'm so proud of you and your journey, physical, right? Because I need to get back fit. You know what I'm saying? I may look good, but I ain't fit, y'all. You know what I'm saying? And also his new podcast that he's doing, because that takes courage to get out there and really speak and put your content out. But he is also one of our attendees today at the I Am Him brunch. And I'm sure that table conversation is going to be a little deeper than what I'm doing today. So let's just get right into it. You heard me. First, the journey of being a coach, a fitness coach, doing what you do.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that a little bit.
So that actually started on the fluke.
Really?
So really short story. It's a long story, but I'm gonna try to truncate it into like a few sentences, right?
All right.
I used to hoop at 24 Hour Fitness. I did not have a membership. They started charging to get in. I did not want to pay the cover charge to play basketball. So I was like, oh, I'll just work there as a trainer. So I wasn't exactly looking to like, oh, I want to be a trainer. But of course, you know, you get a job, you got to work. So I still couldn't hoop because now I got to work, right? And my first few clients, one was a fireman or ex-fireman and a nurse.
Okay.
And they came in with like just injuries. So instead of just doing the sexy, you know, bar work, all the fun stuff you see on Instagram, I'm like rehabbing these people for like weeks and months, just grinding through this whole process. And when you see a person limp in and then walk out, I was like, so I gotta have an impact on some people's lives. So that really is what started the whole fitness journey. Prior to that, the thought was just like, because I had a son when I was 24, and I saw dads who weren't interacting with their son, they were overweight, things like that.
Right.
And so at that time, I wasn't really into fitness, but I was like, you know what, I'm never gonna be like that, so I'm gonna make sure I stay in shape.
And so you in shape, people don't know.
And so it just started, like that. That's really how it started, but it became more than just fitness. It was more about just taking people on the journey. And so that's when I realized I could impact people's lives. And so I just kind of use fitness as a gateway. I always say it's a doorway to more, because people come to me, I want to lose pounds, I want to gain pounds, but really they want something else, right?
Right.
And so my job as a trainer, right,
Just to figure that out.
it's just to take them on that journey. And so that's what I've been really, really good at. Just fitness just happens to be the byproduct of it, because I am not a therapist. So
you
figured
are.
yeah, and that's just, you know.
I think it is. I think it's a little bit of therapy. People go, you know, you release a lot of things when you start looking good for yourself. You feel good. So I think it's a sense of a little bit of therapy as well.
A little bit.
Because I've seen you in action.
But so,
I've seen you in action because you do encourage. I mean,
yeah.
You don't make a person feel bad at the level that they are in when they join any of your classes. And because I've known him, you guys, so I know I've seen him in action.
So
you know.
It's what I have found with working with people, like whether you go to high school, college, get married, have kids, at some point people stop dreaming, right? They stop wanting to become more, whatever it is. And so I sort of use fitness as, just like I said earlier, a gateway to more for people, because I've seen people not only make the physical change, but that emotional change, that spiritual change. And so that's really the blessing, I feel like, that I'm kind of having an impact there. So again, fitness is just a byproduct of like, okay, now that you've accomplished this, what else can I do? Right? I took a lady she was overweight, 18 months, 110 pounds. Right, that's how much we lost. But it wasn't about the pounds. It was about just her getting to this space of she wanted to do a blog. She didn't feel comfortable with herself. Okay. She had this big dream, but she was insecure, right? So we went through this journey. We lost all this weight, but then we had to still communicate, because in her mind, she was still the big girl, right?
Got it.
And so
she had to,
so then she had to take that journey of like, I've shed all this weight, I look this way, and now I get to kind of be this person. But again, it's so nuanced.
Everybody, welcome back to the Couch of Therapy show. Again, I'm your host, Hanif R. Jordan, and my lovely, handsome, fine chocolate guest, Coach Thomas. Old friends, we're old friends. Yes, hey, Blush, you're so good.
Auntie Dr. Blush.
Listen, no, you're not.
I turn purple.
No, you don't. I see
purple.
the red in you. Okay, it's all good. No, I love that you are not only when you are helping people on their physical journey, it is also a mental journey that they take as well. But you are a father. Well, first of all, you are a husband. Shout out to the wife. And how long have you been married?
7 years.
7 years.
I'm pretty sure that's right.
Okay, and you are a father of 9.
9.
So when you are working with your sons, because I seen some of that in the videos, like you guys work together.
Yeah.
How does that help your bond? Because I really am inspired by that.
So so I think that's probably the best part of fitness for me now.
Okay.
Because again, I'm older than them, obviously, but I perform at a high level, but obviously, so it's just a way for us to stay close, to have conversations. That's really sort of how the podcast started, just kind of with those workouts and the conversations that came through that. So I think it's helped to strengthen the bond, keep us close. Because again, we have these moments where we have conversations, even in the middle of a workout. Well, I call them unfiltered moments, where we sort of strip off the titles. They know I'm dad, I know their son, but again, at this point, I'm a human being who's been here 49 years. They're humans who've been here somewhere between 17 and 25. And so we speak to each other from those vantage points, not sort of I
love that hierarchy thing.
So,
just being human, being present.
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
Good.
But again, that's what allowed them to kind of open up and share. But again, they still lean to me just for that wisdom aspect, because again, the natural respect is like, well, Dad, you've been here. Yes. Why don't you tell us about, X, Y, Z?
Right.
But at the same time, I'm not the know-it-all. I'm like, well, how's life from your perspective? Because, we're all growing up in this space, but they've grown up in this space and they have different challenges. So it's really kind of weird. Fitness is such a weird thing because it's a platform for them to just kind of speak and share their thoughts. And that's, again, part of the process as well. So, but it's brought us all really close together. So
I love that.
Yeah.
But
that is like the I'm sorry, I'm not cutting you off, but it's like that for me. Like
it's the absolute.
The dad part is like,
yeah.
Like you don't get it until like you really get into it. And I can't say I started off like super great. I wasn't really into it. I was just a dad like everybody else. You go to work, you come home, you eat some food, and maybe you interact. But
and that's what I want to talk about is making a conscious decision to be more present in your son's and your daughter's life.
Yeah. So
because it ain't easy. It's easy to go through the routine. All of us can I can go home from work, cook, clock in, but am I actually getting to know them as the individual human being that they are?
Right.
And so what I'm wondering, what I'm asking you is, when did that shift? When did that happen for you?
Probably somewhere between 2010 and 2011.
And why?
Well, so like every guy who's working, right? You're just simply working. You're taught to bring home the bacon, be accountable, do all of the things that men do, right? But the problem that I found is I'm working really hard for people all day, every day that don't really know me, right? So it's like you can provide all these things, and that's cool. And even when they were younger, they kind of started teaching me this. They didn't really want the stuff.
They don't.
They wanted me.
Yeah.
But I didn't get it, right? Because I was sort of stuck in sort of just that 9-to-5 box, and I didn't know how to get out. Because again, that's just what I saw. That's how I was trained. That's how a lot of us are trained. And so for me, about 2011, I was working giant company. I just literally. I like saw my life flash like 5 years ahead. I was like, all right, this ain't going anywhere. So I'm like, if I stop this is going to really disrupt the house a little bit. And I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I think it'll be beneficial because I just wanted to spend more time with them.
That's good.
And so I quit. I typed a resignation letter, which I never did. Halfway to work, sent the email, got off the train, went back home and ate a sandwich. Was like, all right, I'm gonna figure this out now. So
talk about faith.
Yeah, and it was really faith, but I had but that's funny bring that up. That's always been sort of my walk with God. Like it's like I'm never gonna reveal anything. You gotta kind of take that step, right?
Yeah.
And so, you toil for years and years and years, and I just sort of kind of impulsively did that and trusted that, okay, God is not going to leave me out in the middle of here to die. We'll figure
won't.
something out. And again, it was a couple of years of like real struggle, but again, it was beautiful because from there, self-employed, and then now full-on business owner, and so it allowed me time to spend like with these people. So now I can see them in high school, go to the baseball games, all of those things
Yes.
that you hear about on TV that seem like they don't matter, like time matters,
Time
right?
matters.
And so like that's the currency. Right. At
Okay.
first, it was money, taking care of everybody. That's important. But I'm like, when they're actively telling me in their own way, like, we want you,
Yes.
like, the money doesn't matter. The money do matter to kids. So let's be real.
To a
But
certain degree, though.
trust me, they all want money. Like, I just helped put a kid through college. I'm like, hey, well, I'm
Right.
glad she's out.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but it was really just about like creating an environment like so we could all have time and be just a family,
Yeah.
and I think to me that was getting lost. Like I grew up with my grandparents, and there was a sense of family, right?
I
We
know.
ate at the table together.
Together.
There was no phones and
Yes.
things like that. And so I love the world that we live in now, all the interactions, the AI, things like that, but I also love that old school. So I feel like I have the best of both
Both
worlds.
worlds.
Like I got all of this old school stuff and I got all this new school stuff. How do we blend it, right? Without making them feel bad about where they are, so that's my story.
How do you see life through your daughter's eyes?
I am working on that because I used to wrestle my daughter as a kid and I realized she didn't like that. So I'm really good at being a guy dad. And I know girl dad was trending for a minute some
No,
years
that's why I'm
ago.
asking because I mean, we don't talk about that. Like when a man has a daughter,
Yeah.
now how does things look to you as you have?
I will say this.
What's changed in you?
I
A
think
man
I've gotten
being.
a lot more empathetic. You know what I mean? And I would say that's what I've learned from my daughters. To be, to be present is to listen. Right? I used to be the answer guy. Like you're talking to me, you're talking to me. All right, let me go figure this out because guys were fixing.
That's
We
true.
have to fix this thing, right? But through my daughters, what I've learned is just listen. Okay. And just well, ask, do you want the feedback? Don't just jump in and try to answer because,
Okay, you learn quick.
yeah. And the one time that I did that, my daughter just gave me a hug, walked off. I was like, okay, well, there you go. And so that's really helped to sort of soften me up because at one point I was really boy heavy. I was like, everything was either at the gym or the basketball court. And I realized that my daughters they didn't care about that.
At
They were
all.
very, girly.
But how did that help you in your marriage? So, because it's different when a man has a daughter, and now you see that the communication is totally different. Most times, the woman we just want you to listen. We don't need you to fix nothing. We ain't asking you to fix nothing. We would ask you, but we ain't asking.
Yeah.
Okay, but we just want you to just kind of listen and be heard.
Yeah.
And I love that you asked the question. What you said, the statement you said that, I'll ask if they need me to
Right.
answer.
Yeah.
Right, because
yeah.
most times they just need to get it out, know that you're there, you give them a hug,
It's simple.
and we're done. How did that translate? How did that trickle down into your marriage?
It's the same playbook. I'm like, it works for me. So, because again, it's a simple concept that one, I think you just stay present, James. Slow down. Don't think ahead. Don't take the first sentence and start, calculating. Just listen, no matter how long it is. Because sometimes, the stories get really long.
It does. We
As a
do.
guy, I listen sometimes at 140 characters or less, right? And so, but I can't always do that. So it's really about, through my daughters, I've learned to speak her language.
That's good.
And part of that is just simply listening and providing feedback when necessary. And so it's just steadied the waters at this point, And so in her world, I'm like Hercules. I'm like, all right, cool. And I don't even feel like I do anything.
But you do.
Yeah,
You do.
so.
We really just me as a woman. I'll say without even being a wife. Just even when I have brothers, if they could just listen. Sometimes I just wanted you to listen. That's it. I don't need you to solve it. And then you become my hero because you're listening, And then when it's time for advice, they'll come to you. They'll come to you for it, right? Because they can trust you.
Yeah,
They can
that,
trust
and
you.
then the respect goes up too. Because
Absolutely.
as a guy, our love language is really respect, and part of that is just there's a ebb and flow there. But again, to me, it's not been an easy journey because again, it's almost I had to rewire my brain. I spent 2.5 years in therapy.
I get it.
2.5 years.
Nothing wrong with therapy.
I know, I loved it. Like
I still
week
go.
in and week out, right? I only
Yeah.
stopped because I'm like, all right, let me just take a mental break. But it really helped me to just sort of unpack myself and how I thought I was coming across to my wife, right?
That's good.
Because as a guy, you can make a lot of money and feel like, hey, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. I'm just gonna sit here and do
And
my
your tone be
right,
wrong.
yeah, right,
And then
yeah.
and we get
But
offended by
yeah,
your
yeah.
tone, and you don't understand what all I
Look,
said was. And we
oh,
like, no, it's how you said it.
yeah,
You understand?
yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
again, as a guy, when you're doing everything you're supposed to do, you lean into it, but you should be leaning into her.
to her.
And so
You got
that's
it.
that's kind of what
You're
I had to
getting
go
it,
through.
coach.
I'm getting it a
You're
little bit.
getting it, coach. I'm happy.
So it's been a journey, but it's been fun. So every part of life is just staying present and just going through all these different moments has allowed me to be present, not only with my wife but with the kids and just with just the world in general.
Key thing that I listened to right now that I heard is that you took accountability, and
Thanks.
that you seek therapy, which in our community, it looks like oh no, we don't go to therapy. No, we need to be going to therapy. We got to unpack that childhood trauma so we can be better.
Relationship, attachment styles, and
Everything. Like you have to unlearn so much
Oh, for
to
sure.
fit your own current
Yeah.
situation, right? And so that's what I hear. So I commend you on that. But let's pivot a little bit. Let's talk about your podcast and what are you trying to? What is your overall message and who are you trying to reach
So
when it comes to that?
funny thing. So that was me sort of scratching my own itch, right? And that was
Okay.
part of this whole, evolving journey of becoming more. And so it's really a podcast for men and young men.
Okay.
About self-awareness because again my background, I was a people pleaser. I did not know how to say no, which on some levels makes you incredibly disingenuous. So
Yes.
instead of the truth, you may not tell a lie, but you'll withhold something.
That's good.
My projection is like I'm going to show you all the good stuff, right? But I'm not going to I'm going to turn your back to the bad stuff. So if you imagine like a movie, right, when you see the preview, the idea is to get you to go see the movie, right? And so I became sort of this caricature. I was a preview, but you would never see the movie. So I just kept looping
The preview.
because
That's
everybody
good.
loved the preview, but everybody's so shallow that they like sweet, so they just kept eating
Right,
up, right? And so, but the problem is you end up in these dark places you shouldn't be, in relationships that you shouldn't be in, keeping people in
Attached
tow
to you that you
longer,
shouldn't be. Yes.
not realizing. And again, I had to. That was part of the therapeutic journey as well.
And what it does to you.
Yeah. Oh, it was.
You know what I
destroying
mean?
me.
Like it
Yeah.
destroys
Yeah.
you mentally,
Yeah.
emotionally,
Because I wasn't
spiritually.
being authentic.
You're not being exactly.
So but I didn't know that. I mean, I don't want to get into the health of it, but like it just
No,
it was
it
again,
does. It destroy. No,
yeah.
like I live that. That's why I understand it because it will start messing with your health. It comes up in different things in your health as well.
Yeah.
And so you have to cut the cord. That's just your body telling you,
Yeah.
hey, bro, you're not living your authentic self. I need you to cut all the BS out.
Yeah.
Start being honest.
Yeah.
Show your true self.
There's a lot that started happening because the world starts falling apart little by little, and it's just like you're just not the same person, and people not receiving you the same. So the podcast really is about self-awareness.
It's good.
In that journey. And so when I looked at my sons, I'm like, okay, I can't tell them nothing until I get to a certain place, right? So just like you said, I had to literally unpack everything. I went all the way back to 8-year-old
Isn't
days.
it hard? It's the hardest.
Well, that's why you get
journey.
a therapist, right? I'm saying it's a therapist.
No, I'm saying even with therapy, it's the hardest.
Oh, the journey itself.
The journey itself is something else because when you're going through therapy, there's things like you said, you had to dial back all the way to 8, and you don't even think that has anything to do with nothing until you start connecting the dots and realize, wow.
I had to unlearn so many different things, whether it's a relationship, attachment styles. It's okay to cry. It's okay to give a brother a hug without feeling like you don't have to always put on. Like there were so many different dynamics. Even with my sons, I hug them. Like when I see them, we dap up and we always end up with a hug, right? Because I want them to be secure in themselves. Like this is okay,
it's okay.
To have a feeling, to have emotion, to express it in this way. It's not gonna make you less of, right? So when I realized, I started posting and dudes started gravitating. So I was like, okay, this is kind of something. And so then I started doing the podcast and dudes kept reaching out. And I'm like, okay, this is something. And it just kind of kept going, kept growing to the point it was like, okay, so when you got some new content. So now I'm just kind of in that space. And because really it's just, I don't know, it's called He Speaks. That's the name of the podcast. And it's just a platform, no different than this in a way, to allow men to just become more, to
I
become the
love it.
authentic
Authentic
self.
self.
Because there's a lot of pressure, right? What you're supposed to be as a husband, what you're supposed to have, what you're supposed to do. And I'm like, well, what if you don't know who you are, right? Let's deal with the baby step first, right?
Come on.
Because I got a
You just
friend
preached the
who's,
word. If you don't know who you are, how you gonna know any of those
yeah, so
labels?
I can't be the husband that I'm supposed
Supposed
to
to
be.
be
I
or
can't
the
be the
father.
father, right?
That's
And
good.
so it's a difficult journey, because, like, if you're not in a relationship, great, or you don't have kids, it's like, okay, great, you can start fresh. And if you're lucky, you already know who you are.
Right.
But what if you're already
But most
kind
of
of
us
mixed up,
don't.
right? And that was the thing, I was already mixed in that juice, so I had to like take everybody on this journey,
Yeah.
and it was not easy. It was probably some selfish moments in there where it's like I got to do this
Yeah.
for myself, but I also realized that being in darkness is not a bad thing, right?
Right.
Because where a baby's born, in the
In
darkness of the
darkness.
womb, right? When you
Right.
plant seeds to grow trees, fruit, veggies, where's it at? Darkness.
Darkness.
And so once I stopped running, I realized, oh, darkness is good. So God has me where, like, He needs me, right?
Right.
And from there, that's when I started to really grow. And so the kids and the relationships and everything else just like started to blossom from there.
That's
So
so good.
yeah, man, it's been a fun journey. Like, this is like the best time of my life. Like, I'm just hyper present. Like,
Well, I can see the
yeah,
shine on you though.
yeah,
The
it's,
change,
oh, I
right?
thought it was the sweat.
No, boy,
So
stop.
he's hot as
No,
hell.
it really is hot here. No, I hope that now you've given yourself some grace and understanding that you're on your own
Yeah,
pace,
yeah,
right? Because you are a man who deals with the physical. So on treadmills, Hanif's not going to go as fast as you're going, because that's not where God has me. And you had to learn the lessons,
yeah,
so that not only I'll go a little deeper, you can break all of those
yeah,
generational
yeah, yeah,
traumas and bad decisions,
yeah,
so that now your children can make better decisions.
yeah,
And now you have your daughters looking up to you, you have your sons, because I see you guys in the videos working
yeah,
out,
yeah.
you're doing your podcast, but then I understand the dynamic of marriage, and it can be very complicated, the ups and downs and the things that goes on in it. Please give yourself a little grace though, because when you don't know,
Yeah,
there's no real book about marriage, because I always say, even if a person puts it out, does it pertain to me
yeah,
and the things that I went through in my life? It doesn't.
man.
It
I
doesn't.
was the prodigal son, Jonah, everybody else in there. So I've learned, I stay present, like, and so, especially when it comes to marriage, right? Because there's always these ups and downs, the
It is. It's gonna
emotional
be.
temperaments, things like that. And I'm vocal now, but in a gentle way. I think as men, and that's also what the podcast talks about, just learning how to express yourself in a tactful way,
Because
right?
when you're not gentle, I'm telling
Yeah,
you, for the lessons for the
right,
men, the woman
right,
shuts
yeah,
down. Then we don't
right,
hear you no more.
right. And
Now it's
so,
war.
yeah, and so that could happen. But it's simple at this point. You just, obviously it's simple when you practice anything.
But it gets better.
Yeah,
As long as you get better, and she's doing the work too, because I'm going to say that one person in a marriage cannot do all the work. The man can't do all the work. The woman can't do all the
double
work.
facts.
Okay? Everyone has to do their part.
Yeah,
And everyone has to be truthful.
yeah,
I'll just
yeah.
put me
Big facts.
for instance.
Yeah,
When I stopped focusing so much on what my husband was not doing and focused on what I needed to be doing, how did Hanif get better?
there you go.
Holding myself accountable. And I didn't like it either. Let me tell you something about humble pie. It don't taste good at all. It is the most nastiest pie ever, but we all have to have it, right? At some point in our life. And so for me to get humbled and God to really show me where I messed up, how I put this person down, how I made this person feel, why this person is reacting the way they are. Oh Lord, now I got to hold my own self accountable. But accountability comes with change. When you really care about friends or anybody in your life, if it's your mate or your friends, and you actually really care, true repentance in any form equals change. You change that behavior and you do the work. So I'm proud of you for doing the work, getting your family together, but sticking to it. And I wish you nothing but prosperity in everything that you touch. James, you have been such a light when I met you, and I've known you, me and Jamal's been married 24 years now, and I think I met you 10 something years ago.
Something like that.
Yes.
I took your
And
course.
so I've watched you grow,
Yeah.
and to the man that you are now, and I love it. And I'm grateful for your friendship. So I appreciate you. So thank you for coming on.
Appreciate you.
All right, but before we go, what would you tell? Say it's not your kids.
Uh-oh.
Say it's not anybody in your household. And I want you to dig deep and be honest. For any young man that's out there on this journey, just struggling, just struggling mentally to find themselves. They're taking on every other identity but the one that God has called them to. What advice would you give them? Oh yeah, I'm gonna give it to you now. You can't leave my couch without some conversation.
You want the super duper honest answer?
I want the honest answer.
So, fun fact, right? I'll answer. I remember growing up, I was like this kid magnet, right? This is a kid. I'm a kid. And like every kid, I'm like, all these kids, get away from me, man. Right? Of course, now I got a bunch of kids, right? So my point is, I also used to substitute teach. And I absolutely treat everybody like they're my kid. So when I see a young man who's not mine, a young girl, they're mine in my eyes, right? So which is why, like, for example, like 7 biological, 2 step daughters, but I never call them step. They're just daughters, right?
Right.
Because I don't there's no separation. So to answer your question, I would say listen to my podcast. It's all about self-awareness. And again, it's nobody's telling us who we are or how to operate. Just like you said, there's no book on marriage. There's books out there, I think. I mean, there's emotions and other things like that. But I would say that. I would also say therapy. Like, I know.
I'm with you on the therapy, though.
Look, I've been singing its praises forever. I know it might be a cliche. I know it's sort of a stigma somewhat. I don't know if it's still a stigma. I know it was at some point. It's probably less of, but still is.
Right.
And so I would lean into that. What I've found is you can figure it out. You can stumble forward, right? Fail your way to success. Or you can have somebody to help you, that'll guide you, that'll teach you, that'll kind of prevent you. You'll get there faster if you do that.
I agree.
And so I just wish that I would have tapped into therapy a lot sooner, because I would have got there faster, but I was just too headstrong. Like, I'll figure this out, I'll do this. Only to end up you're just in a circle.
That's it. That's the stubbornness, right?
Yeah. And it's like, maybe I can stop being the smartest person in the room and let somebody else in and like, all right, well, God provided all these resources, so use them.
Right. That's good.
So it's simple to me now. And so I always go back to the same thing. I've put my sons through therapy.
That's good.
So I don't know if it's been helpful because they're all young, but again,
no, it does.
It's a start. But I also try to be like just the light for them in that way. Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on my show, James. I really appreciate you. And everybody, until next time.